Welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. I love finding new recipes for cocktails and mocktails on Instagram, and this woman is no stranger to success, and because of the persimmon red dress that she's wearing, I had to find a cocktail to match. Thus today, welcome Sandra Smith to Happy Hour.
I thought you were going to say this woman's no stranger to cocktails.
No, to victory in many
Thank
forms.
You. I'm so happy to be here. This is really fun. I'm super excited about whatever this is
This
you
cocktail,
made.
it's a paper plane. It matches your dress.
I'm very happy about this.
So
okay.
cheers to summer,
cheers.
friendship, and mocktails.
So what exactly is in this?
Well.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, sip first.
Well, that's lovely. I've never had that, but I really like that.
Oh,
that's very
Kennedy.
good. So it's I mean, if it were an actual cocktail, it would be bourbon, Aperol, and Amaro with fresh lemon juice and some muddled cherries. You would muddle the cherries in bourbon, and then you add all the other ingredients and the lemon juice. You shake it in an icy shaker, and then strain over a lovely Nick and Nora
got just
glass.
a little bit of the ice sort of shavings, which in the summertime I love.
Yes.
And when we were talking about what to have, and I said Fielder's Choice, the thing is if I order something when I'm out, I order a glass of wine. I'm very boring. Like in the summer, it's like a Sauvignon Blanc or a Rosé. But if I'm somewhere where I'm inspired to have a cocktail, I do like the bartender to make what they enjoy making.
Absolutely. I love doing that because I'm not terribly picky about what I have. But if there's something that someone loves to make and they're proud of that drink, I'm like, please, have at it.
I try to avoid tequila, though. I feel like tequila can make you feel like you need to dance on the table.
Did you have a tequila problem at one point?
No.
Because that's what happens with a lot of people. Like, they will have, like, something stupid, like Jägermeister or Malibu rum.
Shots or something.
And then it makes them sick and
Thankfully,
they can never have it again.
I did not have that. And tequila, I feel like, has become so trendy now, too.
Yes.
Like the tequila soda kind of gal who
and
doesn't want to gain weight.
I mean, it's like tequila... Now it's way more mellow and smooth, and it's like
sounds like
all these
your stuff,
celebrity tequilas. Like they find a way to make it so you can't really taste the tequila when you start throwing
sounds
stuff
like that's
in there.
What's going on?
Yeah, I mean I pride myself on cocktails where you're like, oh yeah, are you sure there's alcohol in here? It's like, no, I'm sure.
Because you don't like the taste of alcohol.
I mean, I don't like to be smacked in the face.
Got it.
I'm not a martini drinker, and I respect people who have because. A martini, I think, is a very specific drink. Like, people have, like, they know if they want gin or vodka, they know what brand they want, if they want olives, if they want it dirty. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I feel like that's rocket fuel. And I have a lot of respect for the James Bonds of the world. I am not one of those people.
A martini can do you for the night.
Amen.
I think that's about 3 shots. So
yeah, one could do you in.
One could do you in.
Yeah, and then when I see people like, I'll have another, I'm like, wow.
And there's a big difference in the size of the martini glass, too.
Yes.
Where you kind of say, that looks like there might be 5 shots of alcohol in that drink.
That's really funny because the new glasses are so big. They're like cartoonishly big.
The French ones are the teeny tiny little, and I love
Yeah, and that's why I love a Nick and Nora because you're not going to overdo it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like a big gulp. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This
is very petite and very perfect. It is perfection, Kennedy.
Just like Sandra Smith.
Cheers.
Oh, let's have a sip.
So I asked you, I was like, what do we do on this podcast? What do we talk about? It feels like I'm in therapy session.
Sandra, tell me about your greatest fears. What was your first job? Was it working in the commodities exchange?
I had kind of 3 that all blended at one time. I was very entrepreneurial very early on. I had a serious babysitting business going on when I was like age 10.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, it started out like mother's helper, helping families while they were on vacation or hosting a church camp in their backyard, whatever it was. And then I decided I needed to make more money. I was the 6th child in my family, so I was kind of left to fend for myself.
Okay. Are you the youngest?
I'm the youngest. So they were
like, perfection, no more.
Yeah, right. I think they literally let me just figure it out on my own. I didn't have a whole lot of guidance at home because I was the 6th. So there was 4 girls, and then my brother was born. And then it was like, let's try one more time. And then, 5th girl came along. But I had all the love in the world at home, but I didn't have money. I mean, my parents, we provided us a very nice life.
6 kids, like, it doesn't matter.
They were not handing out cash.
If you're making in the upper 6 figures.
Yes.
Like you're still eating Velveeta.
And I wanted my independence. And so I was always looking for a way to make more money because I was having like the generic sneakers and I wanted the Keds.
And hand-me-downs.
Exactly. No new clothes. I was always hand-me-downs. And I wanted to go shopping at the Gap or whatever it was. So I was babysitting like crazy, but then I also started newspaper route. Okay, so I started like rolling the newspapers. Rainy days, you'd have to slip them into the bag.
And that's a lot of work when you're a kid.
It was a lot of work. Oh, it was a lot of work. And I tried to do it on my bicycle to go faster, and it made you like lopsided, like ball. But I did that a bunch, and that was a good learning experience. I also caddied was one of my first jobs.
Oh, that's cool.
As I got a couple years older, that was a way you could make like serious cash really fast and meet really interesting people. And we had this really amazing golf course that was sort of around the corner from our house, Chicago Golf. I think it's like the oldest links course in the United States. I mean, I truly learned the game of golf, the etiquette and the rules of golf before I learned to play golf.
Oh, that's cool.
An amazing way to go about it.
And I imagine you have to study as a caddy.
100%.
You can't be like, how about the pitching wedge? And you're like,
no.
This is a 400-yard hole.
No, they're paying
big
bucks for you to help.
Yeah.
And I got really good at that. And I started being asked to carry 2 bags,
Oh,
double
boy.
bagging. Me and my girlfriends would go out there and we would caddy a lot and we'd make a lot of money. We were pretty good. To your point, I look back and I'm like, I was not making club recommendations. I mean, that's what caddies do.
Yes.
I knew the distances, right? I knew the course. I guess I did an okay job because I kept going back and I kept going out. I think Michael Jordan was like the first African-American member at this club.
Did you ever caddy
Very
for him?
prestigious. No, I never did. But some interesting
I did.
people. You did? You carried
way.
his bag? You caddied for him?
Not in
that's-
golf so much as in life.
Oh,
You know about the wager.
I was going to say.
Yeah, we played, he and I played dice on the men's room floor at a very trendy restaurant in New York in 1995.
Wow.
Yeah, and if I lost, he wanted me to go back to his hotel room with him. And if I won, I got floor seats to the Bulls-Nets game. Luckily, I won.
Oh my God.
Yes, because at that point, I had not known the intimacy with a male.
I take this as very public information
Yeah,
already.
I wrote about it in my book.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
missed
could
that
you
part.
imagine if and then he sued me next week?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so luckily I won, and I got to stay intact.
Avoid that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I thankfully I did not have that experience. I also worked at a dry cleaners. That was brutal. Chemicals are
That,
gross.
of all the things you've just said, that actually sounds like the hardest and worst.
It was
Like
bad.
soul draining.
Yeah, and then I remember like one day, I think it was nearly my last day, and I was like, I am not meant for this, and I do not want this to be a part of my life going forward. Somebody, like, they would drop off, it was like the mail, like Norman Seinfeld, it keeps on coming. You know, you think you're done with
Yeah.
the pile, and it just keeps on coming. And people would drop off, especially like women would drop off their men's shirts, and it would be like 15 Oxfords in a bag. And you'd be sitting there going through them, and you have to do the stain on the neck, like
yeah.
squeeze the bottle of like chemicals that takes out the, ring around the collar. And you'd be on like a shirt 3 or 4 out of 15, and then somebody walk in with another bag, and you go, and I confused like 3 bags and all the shirts.
Oh, that's
and, like,
my worst
everybody's-
nightmare. Like I would have dreams about that.
Yes. Oh, you're probably like a little OCD like me with just like, organization. And I lost it. I lost it big time. And then I didn't know how to tell my boss that everything got mixed up. And how are you supposed to know whose shirt is who? I tried to start looking at the sizes, to try to figure out if I could. It was a mess. And that was nearly my last day of that. But
Oh, thank
I
God.
dipped my toes in a lot of different stuff.
When
I
did
guess.
you start running track?
So, I mean, that was my earliest memory with my dad, being the 6th kid and the 5th daughter. My dad will tell you that he had a hard time finding like what I was excelling at sports wise. But he did always say, you want to go for a run with me? And, as a little kid, I was like, yeah, sure, Dad. And I would go for a run with him. And all my other brother and sisters were all, starting to be at the too cool age. And I was still, even though I'm the 6th, I'm still 3.5 years younger than even the 5th kid. So I kind of grew up, there was a gap.
There was
in
a gap, so it was just you and your brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I would say, yeah. And I'd go with my dad. And I kept running with my dad. And it was just a nice way to spend time with him. And he would take me on these, I was talking about this yesterday because I took my kids on a bike ride. He would take me on these 26-mile bike rides. I remember crying, but I just wanted to get through it to prove I could do it. Yeah. But I remember being like, this is hard. And that was sort of my early cardio stuff. And while soccer didn't really work out, or basketball, volleyball I was okay at.
I love that you kept trying and he kept encouraging you.
Yeah, but then I kept going home and doing these runs. And all of a sudden, before I even started running like organized cross country or track and field, I realized I'm really pretty good at this. And then you started noticing you were better at others, and you're like, oh, I got a thing going here. And so I ran 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and then into high school, became super good. I was the captain of my cross country team, nerd. And I don't know, I took a gap from it when I started college.
Interesting. I was wondering if you got a scholarship or how.
I did eventually.
Okay.
It's a crazy story. The short story is this. So I leave to start college at an in-state school in Illinois, and I loved the sorority life. And I was like, running's going to be put on hold. I really this is really fun. But I had already committed to running there. So I was living in the sports dorm, but took on the sorority life. So that was interesting. And I detoured away from it for 2 years, and I started to miss it. I missed it so much. And I thought, what am I going to do? And I went away. I went on a national student exchange to Baton Rouge to go to LSU. It's like an international student exchange.
Yeah, it's like
a lot of people don't know that exists.
Like that.
And with like money not coming being very accessible to me at home, I was like, oh, this is a way I can go to like a school far away, but still pay in-state tuition. So I left down to Baton Rouge, and I didn't know anybody. So I would go runs. I ran all summer before I left. I ran a ton around the LSU lakes, and I ran and I ran and I ran. And then I heard that the coach was hosting of this like amazing team that has like multiple national championships under its belt, and the world-renowned, NCAA coach Pat Henry was holding this open cross-country race where anybody from anywhere could come run this race with the LSU team, with the cross-country team. And I went out in Kennedy. You know when you just know you're like in peak form? You've been training and
you didn't even know you were training.
Oh my gosh.
You're doing this to like see the place and blow off steam and reduce your stress.
And I was just killing it.
And you happened to get better and better.
I was running like twice a day on my own, and I was lifting weights and everything. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And the whole incentive was if you're the number one like amateur, like not on the team, you win a pair of Nike sneakers because they sponsored the LSU team. And so I'm like, I'm going to go do this. And it was at this big park. And I went, okay. I beat all the LSU cross country girls, scholarship and everything. I won the entire thing. And the coach came over and he was like, what's your name? And I said, Sandra Smith. And he said, do you think you can stop by my office? He said, for that pair of shoes. And I said, of course, coach. Thank you so much. And he's like, great job. And it was a little more exciting than that. And then I went to his office the next day and I picked him up and he's like, so what's your deal? Like, why aren't you on a team somewhere?
Yeah, why aren't you running for me?
And I gave him the background I just gave you. And he said, well, let me give you a shot at coming out to run with the girls. Come train with us this week. See if you like it. See if you fit in. See if it's your thing. And I did. And we went and ran and we like had the best time. And he invited me to join the team. And then I worked my way up. I became top 5 distance runner of all their events. And I was traveling and then I became scholarship, and they paid for my books and they paid for everything. Like it was per diem.
What a beautiful path.
It was crazy.
I never knew that story.
I never take the time to tell it. It's a very bizarre route that I took.
But it's incredible. I mean, there's
self-driven.
There's family.
Yeah.
There's talent.
Yeah.
There's, it's like you're accidentally in great shape, but then it's the thing inside of you that says, I really want to push it today.
Totally.
Like, today is the day I'm going to flip the switch and turn everything on.
Yes. Done with the partying. The thing is what I always tell people, it's not like I trained myself out of nowhere. I was a really experienced track and cross country athlete before that. I mean, I knew how to train myself, and I knew I was in peak form. And who knows, maybe those girls weren't like going all out that. I think back on that. I'm like, how did I win that? I mean, these girls are intense. And then when I started training with them, like, I was like, I'm going to have to really fight to stay in this and stay at the top of, the competition on the team. And they were incredible, these women. And I don't know, it changed my entire life. It was incredible. So that was my next 3 years.
But it's incredible how just a few moments can change and define your life.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that in the moment. Like, you thought you were going to pick up a pair of shoes. You're probably so excited.
Yeah.
And this coach is probably like, holy crap,
Yeah.
like he sees that talent. It's like a gift that's been given to him. And he's like, oh, I don't want to blow this, but what am I dealing with
Yeah.
here?
He has since left. He went to Texas A&M, and I stayed in touch with him over the years. I think I even had him on one of my Fox shows over the years, and he's incredible and obviously very open to talent coming from all different places.
Which is rare. It's rare.
I think it's important to identify that.
Absolutely.
Some people think it has to happen one way.
Yes, and it's people who are open to those kind of non-traditional paths that find the ultimate competitors.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
So how did you get into steeplechase? You went from cross country and distance running.
And don't forget, I was on an exchange. So all of a sudden I had this dilemma.
So did you have to commit to LSU? Did they give you a scholarship?
Yes. So that changed everything. I'm like, Coach, I'm not actually at LSU. And so then
he's like, hold on, I'll fix that.
We worked it all out, and I made an official complete transfer and obviously graduated from there and everything. So it was like, I still kind of think I ask my parents all the time, like, what did you think of all that? Because I just kind of called home every once in a while. I'm like, yeah, this is happening. I went down there with a suitcase and I never came back.
Wow.
It was really crazy. So steeplechase, what they do is they generally save that for your last year of eligibility because it's an accident-prone event. It's a lot of jarring. So it's like the hurdles are bigger than the sprinting hurdles. They're made of wood.
Whoa.
They're longer, so you can have like 2 or 3 girls hurdling them at once. And that's the other thing. You don't have to hurdle them. You can hurdle them, or you can step on them and propel off. The water jump, which is the 5th one, you can probably picture Penn Relays makes a big deal out of the water jump. It's at the middle of the track, and that one, everyone steps 1 foot on, and then you propel as far as you can over the water, which is on a grade like this. And you try to clear as much water as possible because the water slows you down. So you 1 foot on and propel as far as you can. Probably my worst experience with steeplechase was I went down in one. I fell. I was in the water. And when you go down, you go down like this, and a girl was coming fast behind me, and we have spikes on the bottom.
I was just going to say, tell me she's not in spikes.
And she stepped on my back with her spikes, and that was kind of brutal. So, but yeah, so that was my last year of eligibility, which was so exciting because we only had one steeplechaser. And right before me was a German named Susanne Strunz.
Yeah.
And she was 26 years old, I found out. And she used to drink a pint of beer like the night before. And we were all like, what? But she was amazing. And I checked recently, I'm still on the top 10 all-time list at LSU for my steeplechase.
That is incredible. I mean,
So,
that's,
that one I'm gonna own that one.
Absolutely right. And you're going to keep that one because at this point, no one's going to catch you.
But maybe what people don't know is you and I have bonded over the training because I love all of your triathlon training. And I mean, it takes like, it's so mental.
Yes.
It's so mental.
Yeah. And I have found, especially on the swim for me, like I'm not a natural swimmer. I'm more of a natural cyclist than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like once I get on the bike, like all bets are off. I feel great. It's like a whole new race has started. And it's so much fun for me on the bike. I love it. But the swim, I have to battle through.
Hard.
And I can start the swim in my head and my chest will tighten. And I'll be like, I don't know how to swim. I feel like I've never done this before. And you told me a phrase that I tell myself every race now before I start. And that's trust your training.
Yeah.
And you told me that. And I was like, that had never occurred to me.
Yep.
But you were like, trust your training. You've already done this. You're ready. And that means you have to get out of your head and let your body do what it wants to do, what it's meant to do, and what it's trained to do.
And I felt comfortable saying that to you because I know you have taken it down to a science, which it is really. It's like what you put into it, you can get out of it. So you have to rely on that on race day. You just have to let it go and know you're not going to die and just like give it your all and just know that this is what you've been training for, what you've been preparing for, and let it rip.
Yeah, and there's a part of you that is capable of something you've never even dreamed of. And it's really interesting because now that I'm in my 50s and I'm still racing, like you have to be much more disciplined and you have to be, constantly scanning your body for injury and pulling back when you start to feel pain. But then there are times where you can really push it. And obviously, like I have to stretch all the time now, but you really learn how to listen to and honor your body.
Yeah.
And it's kind of great
I
because
it's
there's so many
amazing.
people who put a ceiling on themselves, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to allow my body what it wants to do. And if my body says, no, we're just doing swimming and Pilates from here on out, thanks for everything, I will listen to that. But at this point, I'm like, I'm going to keep going.
I love it. I always say work naturally makes me take breaks. Over the next few days, I'm on double duty. I won't be around in the morning, so I'm gonna have to take a couple of breaks from my running. And I think that that's good. You know, you don't want to run running. You just can't. You can't run every day. I did just do a 3-mile race, the Congressional Challenge in Washington, which I've grown to love. I've been doing that since 2010 was the first time I ever did it. And did I send you my split times? I was actually very happy with it.
That's amazing.
In my slow, career days of running, I don't have all the time in the world to train. And so I ran 7:28 pace. And
That's
I was like,
unbelievable.
I'm happy with that.
It's great.
And if she hears this is not, no offense to her, but I saw Kristen Cinema after the race and I was like, hey, I saw you finished, we finished almost together. She was like a couple of feet in front of me. And I was like, I was really happy that it's 7:28 pace. And she goes, oh, really? That's really slow for me. And I was like, whoa.
Really? Oh, I thought she was going to be like, I ran a 10:28 and thought I was flying.
No, to her defense.
I started 4 years ahead of you.
No, to her defense, she's a great runner and she trains a lot, I think.
Yeah.
The justices were out there. It's a fun little race. And,
That's cool.
But anyway, I'm always surprised at how I don't run. I mean, I go out to run just for my rest and relaxation and recovery and break from work and home, and so it's like your escape, So I'm not running really fast in my training. So I'm always surprised when I can get back in a race and kind of
I love that your body
do something.
just knows, it has a mode.
Yes.
It's so great. And I think part of that is being a mom. Part of that, you need that mom mode because you never know when you have to hightail it or lift a car or do something like that. So it's kids give you superpowers in ways you're able to access. It may not feel like it's always there.
Completely agree
But
with
it's there. So if one of your children is someday faster than you, how will you feel?
Already happened.
Stop it.
Yeah. My son, he's 9 and I cannot keep up with him.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So he has the gift.
Oh, yeah. He's got the gift. It would be interesting to see. Right now, he just really enjoys it. He goes out for a run with me. Thank God he'll hang back with me. But if we do a race, he's gone.
Good for him.
Oh, yeah. He's so good. And he loves it. So it's funny because nobody ever says their sport's running. And he's asked all the time, what's your favorite sport? And he's a really athletic kid. And so he, I think he'll say football and he'll say tennis. And and I look at him, I'm like, you never say running. How can you never say running? I'm like, you're a really good runner and you run 5Ks and stuff. He's like, I guess I don't think of it. It's amazing how you just don't grow up thinking that that's a sport. I mean, they really don't start anything till middle school or mostly high school.
But this Olympics, this will be his first really aware Olympics where he'll be able to look at those runners.
Yeah.
I remember that from being around his age.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now, there's Sydney McLaughlin. When I
Oh, yeah.
see her run, when I'm racing, I think of her.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
never going to be fast like her,
Yeah.
but I try and emulate her form. I am so inspired by these Olympic athletes.
Do you want me to give you a little tip because do you ever get tight right here?
Yeah.
Okay, because my son told me this the other day, and I was like, what you have to practice doing is you don't want to tense up any of these muscles, and especially a lot of people tense up their hands. Do you ever think about your hands when you're running?
Yes, my coach told me to run I've got a nickel between each thumb and forefinger.
The only problem there is you're still doing this.
Yeah.
So you're still clenching, and so he was my coach, and I think it was my earliest years in high school. He brought out a container of Pringles and he put a potato chip in each of our hands, and we did our entire practice that day and never let go of the Pringles. And you had
Wow.
to try to not crunch the Pringle.
Yeah.
And so however you felt relaxed doing your thing, but at least it just stuck with me to relax your hands.
Yeah, because for a long time, I was doing I've done all sorts of weird things.
I can't stand
And
when
it's
that gets tight.
unlearning those things
And never run with this thing if you're holding
no,
that.
my coach made me get a race belt.
Oh, yeah, okay. Or
Because-
just the yoga pants that you
Yeah,
can slip
she
it
was
into.
like, this, you will,
That's bad.
your body will go off, your pelvis will go off, you will set yourself up for injury.
But biking's hard for me. It does not come naturally. Swimming, I love them. I swam 5 laps the other day and I was like,
Yeah.
this is not my thing.
I'll
So
never
full,
forget
full
the
respect.
first time I tried swimming as an adult, when I was, 22, when I started doing triathlon, I thought I was going to die after 2 laps. And I'm like, how do people do this?
Wow.
How do people swim for a mile in a race? There's no way I'll ever be able to do that. And it took time to build up. But then your lungs, like, all of a sudden go, oh, yeah, we got this.
Because I thought about that. I think, because, I have access to a pool somewhat early. I could go do it. I was like, I wonder if I could get my body used to swimming. I've never been a swimmer.
You don't have to be a swimmer. You would be good enough. Like, you win races running. But you would be good enough that you could translate all of that to cycling and swimming. And just pick races where the swim is the shortest and then just blow everyone else out of the water.
Cold water. I just don't like getting in
Race in Hawaii or Florida.
Okay.
It's the best. Like, I've done races in Hawaii where you look down and you see turtles. I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
That's
like,
nice.
this is a gift.
That's nice.
And I don't even care if I go slow. I'm like, good, no, I'm going to hang out with the turtles.
And you just enjoy the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, go crush it on the bike.
Yeah, I love it.
Sandra, it's like all of it comes full circle with your son and your dad. And it's so beautiful because you think you're running in a straight line, but really it's just, drawing from and creating new memories with your family. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. And I do appreciate the gift of running because I do think you have to find something in life that just takes you away. For some people that's yoga. For some people that's going for a long walk, which I think is great as well. And I'm very thankful and very blessed that I found that that's just something that brings me that, that peace in my mind and everything.
It's awesome. And it translates to work and you constantly inspire me and
thanks,
others.
Kennedy.
Thank you. To
Oh
you,
my
Sandra
goodness.
Smith.
Cheers. This was amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, dear.
Cheers.
And to Happy Hour. This has been Kennedy Saves the World along with Sandra Smith. I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.
Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.